Yeah, welcome in.
Yeah, I have a question for you.
What's that?
You know when you're like it's winter right now.
Yeah, it's cold.
You're in California. How cold is it?
It's not cold here. It's cold in general. It's not cold here.
I'm in Philadelphia. It's kind of cold.
It is a.
Let's just say I would not go outside with no shoes on.
Oh no, I could. It's a paltry 55 here, but it's also it's nighttime. It's December. The sun has set, so it's not your 70 degrees, but it's nighttime in the winter.
55 degrees. Would you go outside with no shoes on?
I mean, I could wear flip flops. It wouldn't be the most comfortable, but if I'm only outside for like a second, that's fine.
Have you ever had cold feet?
Yeah, that sucks. Cold. I mean, yeah, no, I'll put shoes on when I need to, when it's warranted.
Antonio Brown has had cold feet.
Oh no, yeah, because he's been in that cryogenic
that's
chamber.
what I'm getting at.
He's been in the cryogenic chamber.
Mr. Frozen feet himself.
Yeah, no, he froze his feet and maybe used that to get cut from the Raiders. I don't know. Welcome to the Face Mask Podcast. I am Nick Payne, John Alsace. It's a good segue to what we're trying to get at tonight. Big fan of Antonio Brown, by the way. I love AB.
And mostly, big fan of him and how he plays football, but mostly a bigger fan of his new brand of gummies that came out.
All right, so I do not. Okay. This is a fantasy football podcast. I do not condone Antonio Brown's off-field, trifles. Issues. They are issues. That being said, he's phenomenal on the football field. He's phenomenal. And
all jokes aside, he's incredible.
One of the best receivers. One of the best receivers I've ever seen. He is a technician in the same way, and I'm not putting him in Jerry Rice's level, but he is a technician in that way, as knowing the route tree, just being a master of deception and being able to get out the field and toe tapping. He does it all. He's amazing.
Not talking about where his head's at, but
no.
He's the next best thing since. Jerry Rice.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, if you want to put
he's incredible.
If you want to put Calvin Johnson in that conversation, that's another conversation for another time.
There's the physical freak conversation. Antonio Brown was never a physical freak.
He's not
just
that
an incredible wide receiver.
Yeah, he knows the route tree. He knows the position to a T. He's an artist. He's an artist. He knows exactly where he needs to be. Exactly, when he needs to be there. So.
Have you been happy with what he's done as a Buccaneer?
Yeah, okay.
4 games in,
So I think he's been significantly better in full PPR, maybe not so half PPR, but he played his first game, Week 9, tough matchup against the Saints, and the Bucs got smashed in that game. They lost 38-3. He had 5 targets, three catches, 31 yards. But after that, 8 targets and 13 targets the next 2 games. He kind of had.
Yeah, he blew up.
Yeah.
He blew up.
Had 7 catches for 69 yards. Nice. And then had 8 for 57. This is weeks 10 and 11. It wasn't a great performance against Kansas City going into the bye week, but Kansas City is a good defense, and as much praise as we just heaped on Antonio Brown for what is shaping up to be a Hall of Fame career, he is only he's 4 games into after having not played NFL football for over a year. So
can you start him confidently as a wide receiver 3 at this point going into the fantasy playoffs?
In full PPR, yes. I say yeah. In full PPR, I say yes. In half PPR, I'm a little bit more hesitant. But in full PPR, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm firing him up because the targets should be there. The matchups are great. Week 14, Minnesota. Week 15, Atlanta. Week 16, the Detroit Lions. 2 of those games are on the road, but they're both in domes.
I'm gonna play.
They're gonna.
I'm gonna play I'm gonna play devil's advocate for you.
Okay.
Just for a little bit.
All right.
Okay.
Humor me.
Antonio Brown, incredible wide receiver. In the 2 games, week 10 and week 11, where he popped off, in week 10, he played 49% of the snaps. Compared to Evans's 80 and Godwin's 90.
It wasn't really a pop-off.
And in week 11, he played 62% of the snaps.
It was solid production. It wasn't a pop.
In week 9 and week 12, he had 78 and 73% of the snaps. In games that he played more snaps, he did less. That's kind of interesting to me, first off.
That's a thinker. Maybe he's a great blocker.
I don't know what to think. of that.
Maybe he's blocked.
Really
maybe he's in on run plays, throwing blocks for Ronald Jones.
Yeah, I don't. It's a small sample size. I don't really know what to think of that. That was just something that was weird and stuck out to me.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Do you really think that the Buccaneers are going to need to throw it a ton against Minnesota and Atlanta and Detroit, or do you think they're going to cruise to wins? And Ronald Jones is going to run all over some of these teams because their defenses are depleted, and they might not need Antonio Brown like they needed him against some of these other teams.
So, I think that's not going to be. I think that's a non-factor right now, actually, because the Bucs coming out of their bye just lost back-to-back home games. And now, granted, that was against the Rams and the Chiefs. The Chiefs are they're on a plateau by themselves, and the Rams are one of the better teams in the NFL right now. You can't argue their record. So I get that it's 2 difficult matchups, but the Bucs also they got swept in the season series against the Saints. They cannot afford to look at their schedule and just assume that they're going to cakewalk to 3 victories. This is a team that had division-winning expectations when they signed Tom Brady, and now they're in a situation where they're playing, there's some good offenses. The Vikings are a respectable offense. The Falcons, if Julio plays, are a respectable offense. They can't just rest the Bucs on their laurels, on the names on that team across the board, and just assume they'll walk to victories. And this defense has been a little bit more leaky in recent weeks, giving up points. So, Tom Brady needs to clean it up a little bit. He was not good against the Chiefs. Again, difficult matchup, but it's Tom Brady, so. Sorry, the rule doesn't apply in this situation. Tom Brady has to elevate his game in that scenario. He did not. Can Tom Brady still do it? Might be the question, but that's another conversation. Can he get the ball to Antonio Brown? Yeah, I think he can. I think they have a good connection. I think they developed a somewhat of a chemistry kind of quickly, dating back to their New England days.
My question was never whether he could. My question was whether he will need to. And look, for that, you made a good point.
I think he will.
You made a good point with them having lost 3 of the past 4 games, but I do want to say they had won 6 of their 8 games pre-Antonio Brown getting there. They were steamrolling teams. And then Antonio Brown gets there, and now they've lost 3 of their past 4. Do they go more back to using Scotty Miller in some of these situations where they have Antonio Brown and use him a little bit more as like a spot piece in the offense, a luxury in this offense, because that is what he is. That's all what we knew he was coming into the league back, after all this. We knew he was a luxury to this Buccaneers team. They didn't really need the star power here. But they have him. Do you think that Arians kind of scales back his usage and basically uses him selectively instead of, letting him soak up 60% of the snaps and relegating Scotty Miller to only getting, 10?
No. I don't. They signed him for a reason. You just have to look at his track record. All due respect to Scotty Miller, you don't sign Antonio Brown and then play Scotty Miller over Antonio Brown. So the first week he played was against the Saints. They got steamrolled up and down the board. The Bucs got destroyed. Hard to pin that necessarily on one guy. They came back next week and beat Carolina, and I believe they scored a season high in points. They did. They scored 46 points. That's their season high. So something to be said for that. He was involved in the offense. He didn't. Now, unfortunately, Antonio Brown didn't score in that game, but 7 for
that's
almost 70.
Antonio Brown hasn't scored yet.
That's okay.
So if he's
That's
not
all right.
being used in positions where he's liable to score, since he's only being used on 40 to 60% of the snaps, if he's not being used in red zone packages and stuff, if they're using other players or they're using packages that just don't feature 3 wide receivers on the field in the red zone, that's a huge down arrow for me, because I want my wide receiver 3s to at least come with some touchdown upside. Yeah,
no, you always want guys that are a threat to score. I am not holding a 4-game stretch with a new team against Antonio Brown right now. Maybe I'm making an argument a little. Again, I kind of already said this, but maybe I'm making a little bit more of a stronger argument for him in full PPR. I think I'm still kind of selling myself on the idea of starting him in half PPR. I'm not all the way there yet.
Okay.
I'm not. But I'm not. I'm closer, I think, than you are. I know he's been out of football for a while. I know, there's a potential that did he shake up? Was he a cog in something, or did he throw a wrench into something that was already working fine? No, I don't. I genuinely don't think that's the case. I just think, this is a situation where he needs to get acclimated. He already has played with Brady before. He knows how to play the wide receiver position. We've already gone over that. It's just a matter of, will he get, to me, it comes down to, will he get 10 targets? And I think he is the threat to do that any given week. And it starts this week against a Vikings offense that has been very impressive over the past several weeks. They throw the ball well. They throw the ball well. And while the Bucs are strong at stopping the run on defense, you got to respect Dalvin Cook as being one of the elite running backs in this league. So it's not out of the question where the Bucs are going to have to keep pace or continue to try to, whether it's outscore the Vikings or keep up with the Vikings. I'm not ruling out the Vikings don't win this game. So that causes, that's more passing down opportunities. That's more routes run by Antonio Brown. That's more targets. That's more catches. I know I'm being, it's kind of this is obviously a rhetorical positive situation. This is glass half full. This is obviously the ceiling situation, but you can see it unfold not just this week, but the Bucs playoff schedule. They're playing some decent offenses. They're going to have to score points. I think out of necessity, Antonio Brown is going to have to be involved. You involve a player like that when you signed him. And if he gets 10 targets, if he gets 8 targets, I'm going to have a really hard time keeping him out of my starting lineup. If you only start 2 receivers and a flex, then okay, I get it. But if you start 3 wide receivers and a flex, and now I am talking about half PPR, obviously you want to play a running back in a flex more often than not. But if there's not an obvious choice, I can. At this point, I'm all the way in full PPR. In full PPR, I'm all the way in. In half PPR, I'll say I'm about I'll say I'm about 70-75% of the way there. If you don't have chalk obvious better choices.
Yeah, to me, it may have come across as I was playing devil's advocate. I do like him more than it came across. I would rank him as a volume-based wide receiver 3.
Yeah,
that doesn't have a ton of touchdown upside, but I can't say he doesn't have a legitimate wide receiver 1 ceiling.
I will,
because it's Antonio Brown we're talking about here.
I will say there were a couple of opportunities. Both, I think it was definitely against the Saints, and there might have been another one against the Chiefs. I'm not recalling, but definitely at least one against the Saints. He got behind the defense. Tom Brady just missed him. Tom Brady didn't get him, didn't hit him. So maybe they had the bye week to get a little extra work in.
He's a wide. Like I said, to me, he's a wide receiver. He's a volume-based wide receiver 3 with a crazy wide receiver 1 ceiling.
Oh, he could do it. Yeah.
No other wide receiver 3 has.
Yeah.
Because he's Antonio Brown.
Right. Oh, he could get 20 out of nowhere. Or it's not even out of nowhere. It's, again, like you said, it's Antonio Brown.
Yeah, so don't take me playing devil's advocate as me not liking him.
No, you have decisions to make. You have lineup decisions to make.
But you know, I do like Antonio Brown. If I had him in places, I would be playing him as a wide receiver 3 here.
If you play in standard leagues, standard scoring, you may have already tuned to this conversation now. He's probably too much of a risk in that scenario. Full PPR at this point, I say fire him up, especially if you've got a guy on the COVID list, you know, and that you maybe have been relying on. I say fire him up. Half PPR, if it's a larger starting lineup, I don't see why not. If it's a slightly smaller starting lineup, it might be a bit of a squeeze. There might be a player that has been, you know, more recent, more relevant, a better player recently that you can't take out. I get that. I understand that situation. But Antonio Brown, if I have the opportunity to play him in the playoffs, when I have seen him perform at the level that he has, I have a hard time leaving a guy like that on my bench. And for that, I say, if you were savvy enough to pick him up when the news broke that he was, you know, going to be, you know, eligible to return to the NFL, or, you know, the suspension was over and he could sign with a team, now's the time to play him. This is why you got him. This is why you added him. And so now the time has come. Put him in your lineup.